Hi, John Marshall, the DrillMaster, coming to you again from Ontario, California. This is Central High School. I don't know. I don't know where they are. All I know is that it's Central High School. So this is the armed regulation sequence. Got the volume up there. Let me check my volume here, and we're going to get started. Yep, good to go. All right. All right. So even though we're our Air Force for an armed platoon, which is an Air Force armed flight, we're going to follow the training circular, and we're still going to use the Air Force techniques for holding the rifle that comes from the colors section. We hold the rifle just slightly differently with the hand, but but here the commander should be at sling arms. Um, it's it's just a much easier position, honestly, for the commander. And commander, you're not going to face with the flight. All right, you're going to step off with the flight. So right there, you would still face the flight. You're going to give every single time the flight is static, standing in place. Every single time you're going to face the flight to give all of those commands. You're giving direct commands to the flight. So you have to face the flight. When you then give forward march, as you're going to in just a second, what you would do is execute a left face in march. And that face in march is a pivot on the right foot's platform. The platform is the ball of the foot and everything forward. So the right foot's platform while you kick the left foot out to the left. Right. As you're coming in there, alignment in that third rank, and that wasn't even a facing movement there, Commander. That was kind of a step forward and a almost a flank facing. So so here, you we don't execute facing movements at right shoulder, and not even excuse me, not even in the commander's position. Again, you're going to be at sling arms, and then you would turn around, grab that sling, and then report. So if the and technically, if the sequence says that you're supposed to give present arms to the flight as part of the whole regulation drill sequence, then fine, that's not a problem. But you don't have to do this. If it doesn't say that, you don't have to do this. You're not supposed to. The commander is supposed to salute for the formation. So as you went, well, I'd love to expand this and pick out all those tiny details, but we'll work from here. So I need to see something here. Um, Hold on just a second. I'm sorry. So so you can see it. All right. Okay. Sorry, it kind of went screwy there. There. All right. So, Commander, you see how your wrist is turned out like that? You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to, when you go to present, you're supposed to let the rifle turn in your hand and then lower that hand right to there. So, the left forearm is supposed to be horizontal. That's great work on most everybody. This cadet right here, left hand is too high. Actually, I should have brought a rifle with me. They're at my training site. So the left hand is supposed to have the pinky at the metal of the receiver there, and that's when you're at port. Well, when you twist the rifle, you're you're keeping your hand in the same place and then bringing it to present. And then we don't flare the hand. We wrap the fingers around. We follow that army technique. So I thought you might do that. So as soon as you start giving certain commands that you can do, I thought you might start imitating what the flight is doing, and you're not supposed to, Commander. So you are in the commander's position, so you don't perform what the flight performs all the time. Now there are certain specific times that you're going to do certain things, but it's either a little bit different, like say eyes right, or it's a little later, as in after you give present arms, and that's if that present arms is intended for the entire flight. You don't go to parade rest. You don't execute, and you're going to call present arms in a moment. You don't execute present arms. One of the myths that cadets created is that there needs to be, in order for the commander to give present arms, or anybody to give present arms to a a formation, there needs to be someone or something like the American flag in front of the formation to return the salute. That has absolutely nothing to do with reality at all. The command is given, you execute the command, period. That's it. It doesn't matter if anybody else is around. You're going through the motions, and in the regulation drill sequence, everything is laid out in order so that you call those commands in order, because the judges are looking at everything that you're doing as you perform those. So going back, sorry. Just I'm noticing several things. So heels need to be 12 inches apart, measured from inside heel to inside heel, right in there. And then commander here, you have you're extending your arm down like this, and then you have a kind of a almost a 90-degree angle at your wrist, and so you shouldn't have that at all. You're going to have a slight bend, but not an angle like that. Your arm should be extended, your fingers should be extended and joined on the side of the rifle. Then you're forming that U to hold the rifle, but your thumb needs to be on the center seam of the trouser leg, on that the outer side there, or centered on the thigh if you don't have a seam there. That means that you rock the rifle back just slightly so that it rests on the heel of the butt of the rifle, and not, you see, I can see that your rifle is resting squarely. The butt rests squarely on the rifle, and that means that it angles forward, and that means that your hand then is brought forward quite fast. And you're not supposed to execute 15 count manual either, Commander. So that was relatively fast, uh, uh, pretty much keeping in cadence, although there are many technique issues. I'm not going to go back through and point out every single one and talk about them. That would take quite a long time. It would end up, this video would be an hour. But you're not, so the team in general isn't articulating each movement. So you bring the rifle up to the port position, and then you come to port arms. Port position means that your hands aren't in the proper place for port arms, which is left hand here, and then right hand, left hand where I was describing before, right hand on the small of the stock. That's port arms. The rifle then angled properly 4 inches away from the chest, and then you go to well, let's say right shoulder. So you drop your hand to the butt, right hand to the butt, then you come over and pin, but you're not, the articulation isn't there. You're not pausing, and I'm not talking about an extended pause. I'm just talking about that split second that the rifle is supposed to rest in that position, and then you bring it down to port, then over to left shoulder. Each position needs to be needs to have that, just that slight split second pause, and then move on to the other position. But since you're not doing that, it's all run together. It's like writing a sentence without any periods or commas or anything like that, and it's very difficult to read. Well, this is difficult to read as well. Also, the excellence here really isn't hitting at all. So the articulation is bringing the excellence down, but also I can see, and I'm just going to pick on this cadet in the corner here. So look at the arm angle. Let's go back a little farther than that. Okay. Now, watch this cadet right here at the front. And I'm sorry, I don't necessarily mean to pick on just you, but this is a good example of the run-on sentence, the visual run-on sentence here, and also the improper application of each one of the positions. So you still have that hand wrapped around. That wasn't port. You brought the rifle up straight, and then just to here, then brought the rifle up further with the left arm. So, Commander, you're very monotone. It's right face, count off. It's the same. You're projecting a little bit there, but you don't have articulation in your voice, but you also don't have inflection as well. So it should be right face, count off. Now, unfortunately, the Air Force has decided to take all those great graphics from the early 60s and 70s and even into the 80s, took them out, and now we don't know how to call commands, and that leads to monotone commands like this, where the inflection isn't there. But also, team, you're not supposed to lift the rifle on the command of. So you're going to the right face. You don't lift the rifle on the command of right and then execute the movement and then set the rifle down. The rifle is picked up on count one of right face and then placed down on count two of right face as the feet are brought together. But so we have this cadet here. She has her hand completely wrapped around the rifle, and it should be, you should have, like I was talking about the commander, arm fully extended, fingers extended and joined, forming that U grip. And even when you pick the rifle up, you don't wrap your fingers around it. You pick the rifle up at that position, bring it over, and then set it down for that facing movement. And again, you should be facing the. What are you? No, that's not. That's so that's not close. I wondered what you were doing there. So, Commander, you face the flight, and when you go through close and extend, you march forward at a half step and march backward at a half step. You need to keep your 3-step distance though the whole time. So you don't move towards the flight and then have the flight go go through it. You move with the flight, but remain maintaining, I should say, maintaining the 3-step distance. And so that this is not the proper method here at all. And Commander, you're bouncing a little bit there as you come out, as you executed those side steps. So, all right. So maybe you're not supposed to check. Maybe you're not supposed to check alignment. Um, I would honestly, because you taking the steps back and then turning around, that doesn't exist. That's not a thing. That's something that Junior ROTC has made up out of thin air. Um, uh, I would default in if there isn't any guidance. A lot of the regulation drill sequences will have a little parenthesis says alignment will be checked or check alignment, something like that. If the guidance isn't there, I do it anyway because that's proper procedure. What you just did there, Commander, isn't. So I know you're doing your best without that guidance there. So I would still do you execute the face in march, half face in march to the left, move over to the right of first element leader, and then you go through the alignment check. So the side steps looking good. Now, Commander, here you'd be marching backwards. Right shoulder, arms. See, your all of your commands are just monotone. So you must be out west with performing that. It's exactly the same thing I used to do in JROTC. Oh, all right. So what did you just do there, Commander? Maybe you slipped. So it's possible you slipped because I can hear maybe there's some gravel there on the parking lot. So that's quite possible. I'm going to watch and make sure that it doesn't happen again. Slipping twice, yeah, that's kind of possible. But if you're if you did slip and you caught yourself and bent your right knee as you're executing this flank here, then fine, that's okay. But if you didn't slip and you actually do that as part of your style of flanking, that's not the correct style. You shouldn't dip down your whole body by bending the knee there. And as you call column right here, you really should continue to face the flight until the center of the flight comes up where you're going to march from, and then execute a face in march. Well, no, it's a flank actually. It's a flank here that you would execute a right flank as the team comes through instead of now. See, you started marching. You're not centered, so I need to see that. It's quite possible you did slip there. So okay. Well, I'm sorry. Go back a little farther. So yeah, I guess you did then. Okay, no problem. And see how you're moving out. So this is all inaccuracies that me as a judge, I see this and I think, all right. So you're not exactly uh, uh, understanding what you're supposed to do at every moment, which is excuse the truck backing up if you can hear it out there in the parking lot. Uh, so the the higher level of a routine that you get, you pay more attention to the tinier details. At the beginning level, then you're getting through the routine and trying your best to maintain attention and stay aligned and that type of thing. But then as you increase in your ability to handle those demands, then what you need to do then is pay attention to those tiny details. So end step there really wasn't. Yeah, so you have some sagging and weaving going on with the flanks, and that means the end step wasn't exactly the same. That didn't work either. So that's not a flank or a column from halt. It should be flight halt and not team halt. So here, um, er, so you're stepping off, and then yeah. So I see what you're doing. Um, all of the element leaders here should have executed a face in march to the left. First element leader executing a 90-degree, and then second and third element leaders executing a 45-degree immediately from the halt there. You don't march forward a couple of steps and then angle over. So you've performed this. Um, yeah, it's you've extended it out even more, and got some inaccuracies there with your. So got some really good arm swings here. Wanted to point out third element leader, first element leader, definitely. I think second element leader as well. Three cadets who have excellent arm swing. Their arm is locked into position, and I don't mean locked as in fully hyperextending that joint. I mean it's locked in the position, and then with a slight bend in the elbow, and they're swinging back and forth. Really, really good job. Timing here. Oh, it's a very gravelly situation there, isn't it? So I want to watch that to the rear. So are you slamming the left heel in? Yeah, it kind of looks like you are. I'm not exactly sure. There shouldn't be any more noise with that step than usual. So the Air Force did an excellent job in telling us that we need to bring the left foot in line with the right, and then turn on both of the platforms of the feet simultaneously. Then with that half step, it's got to be a half step. Then they really screwed it up afterwards by forcing everyone, after they turn, then to take another half step and then start a full step on the next right. So taking that half step afterwards has led to all kinds of problems with stomping, and then this kind of a heel slam, I guess you could call it, with what you're doing, and it's just not worked well at all. You have the momentum after you turn, you should be able to take that full step. Air Force doesn't allow that, so it's got to be half step, feet in line with each other, turn, another half step, and then a full step after that. So that's not what I saw. And the half step after the turn. So, all right, so the half step after then doesn't require any louder movement. It's just a half step. It's a heel strike roll onto the toe. It's not a stomp. So element leaders, you call the commands. All right, you call. Everybody calls them at the same time. And third element leader, why didn't you turn your head? You're calling a command to the people behind you, and when we do that, we call that over our right shoulder for any movement that takes us forward or any movement that takes us to the right. We call it over the left shoulder if the movement takes us to the left. And so you're going forward, that means you call the command over your right shoulder, but you all call these one word commands then over the right shoulder simultaneously. Everybody at the same time instead of separately like this. So flanks aren't our pivots aren't executed. You're running through here, and it's so since it's a little unfortunate that you're only three deep. If it was four, then it would be a little bit easier to have the commands called by the element leaders, because now with three deep they have to call them almost immediately. So there is there's a proper technique that you call the commands on on the right foot of the cadets who are going up beside you. So third element takes off as soon as the third element second cadet, as soon as he is in line, he or she is in line with you as an element leader, the element, whatever that element is, then that right step is forward that they take in, that's right next to you. And then the last cadet in line, then that right foot that happens right next to you, that's why you keep your head turned the entire time you're looking. That right foot then is the command march. Then everybody steps off with the left foot. Now the Air Force has every element inclined to the right and then inclined to the left. No flanks, no pivots, no nothing. You just march over and over and you're done. Why are you marking time? So you shouldn't be marking time. You you gave so third element leader, you gave forward. That means you just march forward and you keep going forward. Now, Commander, if you didn't allow the team to go all the way over to I guess I'm looking at the drill pad from the judge's side, quite possibly. So if you didn't have the team go all the way over to the judge's left, where the boundary is, then taking the team any less of that distance creates a problem with you probably going over the other boundary, this boundary in front of the team now. So you don't just randomly mark time somewhere. You don't come to mark time. You, as element leaders, as the element comes in, you call halt. You call element halt, and you're calling it over your right shoulder. No, you're moving to the left. So now the initial, uh, yeah, the initial command is over the left, and then when you're calling halt, it's over the right. Yeah, got that. All right. So, but you don't come to a marked time. You call halt as you approach the position, which really leaves you in a bind uh, if you're not well practiced. So, forward harch commander is given on the left foot. So it's forward, step, harch, step, and then go. The double time, you're supposed to heel strike on that double time. I know it's not a really healthy technique, but it's only for a few steps. And Commander, what you did is you bounced on your toes. Practice with a metronome. You've got to get a metronome out. Set it at 110 beats per minute. So, Commander, you should have. No, wait. What are you? Oh, you're getting ready to do eyes right. No, 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 no. So, for whatever reason, cadets think that the commander has to be around on the other side to call eyes right. That's a myth, and Oh, that's unfortunate. So, you if this was a formal parade pass and review, the commander would be at the front of the flight. This isn't a formal parade or pass and review, so you need to be on the left side of the flight, left side when in column formation. That's your position, commander. So don't switch sides. You don't do that. And I know there's something that the headquarters, Air Force JROTC put out that you can switch sides if you want to or not. I don't remember. I don't pay a lot of attention to what they put out as far as drill and ceremonies is concerned. But switching the sides, that's not proper technique, not at all. So then I've got to ask you, Commander, what's the command you just gave? It was eyes right. So why is the flight going to present with rifles? If it's eyes right and not present arms, so we don't execute present arms while marching in formation. Out of formation, sure, you can do that. It's an individual salute, if you're passing an officer and you're armed, that's fine. You can do that. That's no problem. However, in formation, the command is eyes right, which means you're marching eyes right, and you turn your eyes to the right unless you're in the base element. Then you just keep your head straight forward. So this present arms thing doesn't exist. This isn't a thing either. So did you when you when you change shoulders, there, we'll do that. When you change shoulders, it's best to call the command on the right foot. Yeah, you called it on the left. So the so when you call it on the left, that means as you bring your right down, you're swinging it back when it actually should be forward. So it's a lot easier if you call it on the right foot, so that when you place the rifle here, all you have to do is bring your arm down and it naturally swings backward as your as your right foot is going forward again. So it just makes it a little bit easier. And again, forward march is called on the left foot. So change step needs to be step, step, step. That's the only way. Oh boy. That's the only way to change step. So what you did was change step, march, step, 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 keeping the same tempo. That means you never actually change step. Oh, San Angelo. All right. So you're in Texas. I was kind of guessing that one. Oh, I want to go back here. So you can see some of the cadets as they come from present, they're going to port, and then they'll grab the going to up to right shoulder. They'll grab the rifle, and then the hand stays here on the rifle instead of they changing position and bringing the rifle the left hand to flare down here at the end of the you have 1903, so the end of the bolt there that sticks out. So keeping that hand up there is very obvious because your arm is stretching all the way over. And then also here, coming to attention, got that big attack stance. And actually, when I was in JROTC, my first day learning how to stand at attention, I looked like that. I had no idea, so I had to have somebody tell me, relax your elbows, touch my elbows, and then have I finally relax and okay, now I know how to stand at attention. So this could be just a muscle thing, muscle memory thing, or it could be a nerves thing. You know, you've got the adrenaline pumping, and you're going through the whole routine and so forth. So left face from from line formation, you can only go short distances. For longer distances, which is maybe around 10 steps or so, something like that. What you really should do here is right face and couple of column rights, and then you can leave. For longer distances, you have your element leaders lead, and so you're not doing that here as you leave. I know this is the most expedient way to get off, and I get that. However, it's incorrect technique. Okay, so I'll not even yeah, I'll not even go over that anymore. That's you did. I'm very thankful that you requested my feedback here, and let's see how I don't even know how long this was. Quite long, I'm sure. Yeah, 36 minutes. I apologize, but there was a lot to talk about there. So if you have any questions for me, then either post them below, send me a text through or a message through Instagram, as you know we're connected there, so we can talk. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.